Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Yusuf Muhyiddin Abiola, a student of College University Islam Paris Scripps, BMM. I'm presenting for usul fiqh assignment BSS 4023 for the lecturer Mr. Muhammad Munzir bin Muhammad Zamb. And the topic of the assignment is understanding mosolih mursalah, a vital concept in Islamic jurisprudence. This presentation explores the concept of mosolih mursalah, a fundamental principle in Islamic jurisprudence, which is usul fiqh, that emphasizes the importance of considering public interest. So in this presentation, we will delve into its definition, its significance in legal reasoning, and its role in addressing contemporary challenges. When we are talking about definition of mosolih mursalah, so it has a linguistic definition and juridical definition, which is mana al-lugawiyya wa mana al-istilahiyya. When we are talking about the linguistic definition, mursalah derives from the word solah, so meaning to be sound or good. So it signifies a benefit deemed legitimate by Islamic law without explicit textual evidence for its inclusion or exclusion. But when we are talking about the juridical definition, which is al-mana al-istilahi, mosolih mursalah refers to a benefit considered legitimate by Islamic law, so without specific textual support for its validity or invalidation. It encompasses action that promotes public good and prevents harm, guided by the overarching principle of Islamic law. So whereby mosolih mursalah is a legitimate by Islamic law, so but it doesn't have any specific or textual support for its validity or validation, maybe from the Quran or from the Sunnah. And mosolih mursalah is a sort of legal reasoning. So in usul fiqh, we have the primary source, which are Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and Qiyas. So in the Ba'dul Ulama, and we also have the secondary source. So mosolih mursalah is part of the secondary source. So we have many secondary sources. So we have Qawlu Sahaba, Istihsan, Ahwalu al-Madina, Shari'atu man qablana, and so on. So the out of the secondary source of usul fiqh is also mosolih mursalah. So mosolih mursalah is considered a secondary source in Islamic legal theory, providing a framework for interpreting primary source. The second one is foundation for ijtihad. It serves as a foundation for ijtihad, depending legal reasoning to achieve the objective of Islamic law, such as ensuring justice, preserving life, wealth, intellect, religion, and progeny. So we can protect our family, protect our religion, protect our wealth, protect our life, and to ensure justice among the citizens of a country. And the third one is spirit of Sharia. It emphasizes understanding the spirit and overarching goals of Islamic law, drawing inspiration from its core value and principles to address diverse situations. Scholarly perspective on mosolih mursalah. So when we are talking about the opinion of the ulama on mosolih mursalah, they are divided into two. So there are some ulama that support we should include mosolih mursalah in the secondary source of usul fiqh, and there are some that oppose that no, we don't have to use mosolih mursalah. So we are going to look at their words. And the supporters that support that we can use mosolih mursalah in our daily life and daily activities as part of the secondary source of usul fiqh. The supporters are the al-Malikiyya, which are the Maliki schools of thought, particularly their leader, their imam, which is Imam Malik. He embraced the use of mosolih mursalah extensively. So meanwhile, the Hanabila school, the Hanabila Hanbali, supported its validity as long as it did not contradict existing text. So there is shurut in the Hanabila schools. So their shurut is that it must not contradict existing texts, which are the Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and Qiyas. We are the opponents that oppose that mosolih mursalah, we can't use it as secondary source of usul fiqh. They are the Zohiri school. They rejected mosolih mursalah entirely, emphasizing the need for explicit textual evidence, while some Hanafi scholars argue that existing texts and general principles of Islamic law were sufficient to address public interest. Evidence for the validity of mosolih mursalah. So when we are talking about the evidence, so we have Quranic evidence, prophetic tradition, and the practice of the companions, which are the Sahaba. The first one, we stated that, and we have not sent you but as a mercy to the world, which is wama arsalnaka illa rahmatan lil alamin, suggests that Islamic law aims to bring about a mercy, a universal public good. So meanwhile, we have to use mosolih mursalah because Islam and the Rasul, they are mercy to the world. Allah sent the messenger as a mercy to the world. The second one is the prophetic tradition. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, peace be upon him, action of returning prisoners of war to their families in a bid to reconcile warring tribes exemplifies the importance of public peace and harmony, which is as-sulh. So the Prophet decided to return them to their family. So after the war, so which means that this is not in the Quran, and there is no, as we know that in the Prophet time we can only use Quran and Sunnah. So this is not included in the Quran, but the Prophet decided by himself. So meaning that we can use mosolih mursalah as a part of the secondary source in our daily activities. The third one is the practice of the companions, the Sahaba. The compilation of the Quran under Abu Bakr and the establishment of a treasury system under Umar ibn Khattab were instance and example of implementing actions not explicitly mentioned in the primary source but essential for the preservation of Islam. What are they saying is that the compilation of the Quran, it doesn't happen in the life of the Prophet, but after the Prophet died, so the Sahaba, the companions that memorized the Quran, so they started dying one by one. Even there is one battle that most of the Huffaz that memorized Quran died. So Abu Bakr now think that if we didn't compile the Quran, that means that we can't even hold the Quran for the next generation. So it is part of mosolih mursalah. So that's why Abu Bakr established the compilation of the Quran, while Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu also established a treasury system, so which they are keeping money for the Ummah. Argument against mosolih mursalah. We have uncontrolled legislation and sufficiency of text. The opponents argue that relying on mosolih mursalah could lead to arbitrary legislation, potentially contradicting the established legal framework. While the sufficiency of the text, they claim that existing texts of the Quran and Sunnah were sufficient to guide Muslims in fulfilling their obligation and achieving public welfare. The prevailing view, a balanced approach. So you have to talk about the authentic benefits, the public interest, and no conflict. The prevailing options advocates for incorporating mosolih mursalah into legal reasoning, but with specific guidelines. The benefit must be genuine and demonstrably beneficial. It should serve the public good, not merely individual interest, and it should not contradict any existing text or established principle of Islamic law. Example of mosolih mursalah in our daily life activities nowadays or in action. We have the traffic signals. The traffic lights are a practical example of mosolih mursalah, promoting road safety and preventing accident, although not explicitly mentioned in the religion text, which is the Quran or Sunnah. But they think that, okay, what can we use to regulate the vehicles that are coming, maybe in a T junction or roundabout? So they bring traffic signals. So it is first told, okay, you that are coming from this direction, you should stop. So from this direction, first go. So this is an example of mosolih mursalah. The second one is national ID card, to identify the citizen of a country. So national ID card facilitate identification and verification, which ensures security and uphold individual rights, aligning with the principle of Islamic law. So another example is maybe international passport that we are using to traveling from one country to another. So we know that, okay, this person is from Nigeria. This person is eligible to travel from Nigeria to this country. So and so on and so forth. The third one is education and healthcare. Establish universities and hospitals fulfill the fundamental human needs for knowledge and health, promoting the well-being of individuals and communities. The origin of mosolih mursalah. The continuous wisdom. We have the Quran compilation and treasury system, as was stated earlier, whereby Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu compiled the Quran. So, and Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu aidan, he also found a treasury system for the Muslim Ummah. The companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam were the first to apply mosolih mursalah in matters requiring independent legal reasoning. They initiated the compilation of the Quran under Abu Bakr Siddiq and established a treasury system under Umar ibn Khattab, despite the lack of explicit textual directives. So, which means that there is no nasu, which is text, that direct them to do such a thing, and which in this process they ensure the preservation and management of the Muslim communities. The significance of mosolih mursalah, which is a flexible and adaptable approach. Mosolih mursalah demonstrates the flexibility and adaptability of Islamic law, enabling it to respond to changing realities while adhering to its core principle. It allows for the fulfillment of the 5 essential objectives of Islamic law, which are preservation of life, wealth, intellect, religion, and progeny. Hifzul nafs, hifzul mal, hifzul aql, hifzul din, wa hifzul nasl, or hifzul an-nasab, and provides a valuable tool for legal reasoning and shaping a just and equitable society.